Alright, I kind of did a really long one that I'm not going to upload because I started talking about things that were not related to how I started. I'm going to probably do a video after this on X Prizes, just what that is and why I think we should do that. And at some point, I'm probably going to do one on the Air Force on what I would do to modernize it. Now, I'm no expert, but I do have some suggestions that I think should be taken to heart, at least. Um, but the first thing I'm going to talk about is we got to end these lockdowns and this whole uh, state of pandemic. The emergency power authorization, all this craziness, the shutdowns. It's not good. It's not healthy for us as a country. It's not healthy for the planet. It's not healthy for the economy. It's not healthy for the kids. The shutdown's doing far more damage than this virus is. The virus, we know who's at risk. Basically, people with pre-existing conditions and the elderly. People like, Herman Cain, who had stage 4 cancer. You're at risk. You're going to catch it, and it may or may not kill you. But if you do catch it, it's not good. We have treatments. They don't want to admit it. Big Pharma don't want to admit it. I mean, I do hate the boogeyman of Big Pharma because it's overused and I think misunderstood. But a good idea of when Big Pharma is basically being the boogeyman that people fear, and you basically, of course, hear nobody talking about it. Hydroxychloroquine is a good example. Hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, zinc, that's the treatment. Tons of doctors swear it works. And basically, there's enough people out there where, well, we don't have a treatment, might as well mass adopt this. It's not like hydroxychloroquine's dangerous. It's not. Yokovudo, you're wrong. It's not a dangerous medicine. My dad's been on that when he went down to Honduras. It's commonly prescribed. The worst case scenario, they mass prescribe it, and it ends up being inconclusive and does nothing. But it's worth a shot because there's enough people, like enough doctors saying, hey, I've been prescribing it with basically the regimen with the azithromycin and the zinc, and it works. You don't need a double, triple blind study. You don't need that. Not in this case where this basically this virus spreads really fast. My point is that Big Pharma, they don't want that. That's why, you're seeing the experts suppress the information on it. Google, YouTube, Twitter. Talk about hydroxychloroquine, put it in the title of your video, they look at it suspect. They say you're giving bad medical advice. I'm not giving medical advice. I'm saying that the doctors who want to prescribe it should be allowed to prescribe it. That's all I'm saying. Do I know the science of why it works? Nope, not really. I know it's got, it's been used for SARS and stuff like that, which are very similar. But I don't know. There's people out there that say it want to work. I know it's not dangerous. I know. Right? Who am I to say that? It's not dangerous. I've seen people take it, and people have been taking it for years. My family has taken it for basically anti-malaria purposes. It's not dangerous. It's been around a long time. And what Big Pharma would rather have you do is, go with something like remdesivir or one of the bazillions of drugs they're trying to manufacture and push, because instead of being, 30 cents for a week of treatment, it's $3,000 per pill. That's what they want. It's about the money. They don't want an easy solution. They want the money to keep pouring into them so they can develop stuff and research more. I mean, that's free money to them, right? And if there's a solution that's cheap and pre-existing, then they think the gravy train stops. Now, I'd like to meet them halfway. I'd like to say, all right, let's cut the red tape. Let's cut this bull crap where the doctors can't prescribe it unless it's been like 5 years of rigorous study, and the FDA did 10,000 different things, and that's why these drugs and treatments, you hear about like major scientific breakthroughs, and then it's not implemented till like 7 years later. It's because of the red tape. And I think, yeah, we should probably clear that up, and we should, help basically the big pharma compete with each other and also compete with little pharma, to incentivize people to figure out new working treatments. So this has been basically, this lockdown is a big gift to big pharma so that they can come up with their, because the government already said, well, whatever the treatment is, when we find it, basically you're going to be covered. We're going to be paying for it. So then they have no incentive to reduce the cost of the treatment. They can just come out with something and say, oh, this works and it costs, $3,000. We'll cut it down to $1,500 a pill. And then the government's already on the hook for it because they promised it. All right? That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. You got 150,000 people who, died of it, they say. I have reasons to doubt that number. But let's just go with that. And how many more infected? We know the infection rate is way higher than the actual death rate, like significantly. But everybody who gets it, all of a sudden they're, oh, are you symptomatic? No. Well, in case you are, and since it's on the government's dime, we're going to prescribe the, expensive-ass treatment. Big Pharma, you stand to make a lot of money if you're the guy who comes up with that. So that's why they're not, I'm not saying they're out there actively suppressing, because I think the reason why it's being suppressed is basically for political reasons. The governors don't want to give up their power, and the media doesn't want to admit that maybe something Trump suggested actually turned out okay. But the Big Pharma, they're certainly not helping, That's the thing with hydroxychloroquine, is that it's not owned by any of the, I believe it's, it's available in generic form, so it doesn't have like an exclusive patent or anything. You don't stand to make a lot of money unless you come up with something new, novel and new. So people should keep that in mind. I find it really funny that the left is out there basically doing Big Pharma's bidding. And likewise, these lockdowns are a big gift to big business, because the big businesses are the only ones who can survive. So the medium and small businesses, they're getting absolutely killed. But Amazon, Walmart, look at all these other businesses that were essential or didn't have to shut down just because they're so huge. They're doing great. Their stock's through the roof. They're making shitloads of money. Amazon's making more money than they've ever made. The left pretends to hate big business, but they'll do a lockdown that's a gift to them. They don't care. I mean, I guess Amazon paying off all those Seattle politicians worked out for them. Maybe not, because they just raised the taxes on them. And they're currently trying to burn Seattle to the ground, which I don't think will be good for Amazon. But whatever. They're big enough where, the city of Seattle could be hit by an asteroid, and Amazon could lose all their assets in Seattle, and they'd be still running. And they would just move somewhere else. And they're decentralized. They're gigantic. But if you close down a town, and that's a small business where the guy's got 2 stores maybe, and one of them's in that town, that's 50% of his revenue, he's done. He's done. He closes down for 6 months like this, he's done. So, lockdowns, you're actively sticking in the eye of a small, medium business. That's what you're doing. You're saying your your sacrifice of your well-being, of your life's work, is because I'm afraid of the coof. That's what you're telling people. Now, maybe some people are legitimately that afraid because the media's got them worked up, but you know what? I can stay in if I'm afraid. But telling them that they got to change their behavior because I'm afraid, that seems immoral to me. And, oh no, some more people might get it. Yeah, but people who know the risk of going out, or going to be the ones who get it. If locking down is going to mean you're not getting it, then just lock down. I don't see what the big deal is. Whatever. I'm sure I'd be crucified by the Twitter mafia if I said that, I think the lockdowns are stupid and doing more harm than good. And I've got friends who swear by them. They're scared to death. They're afraid. They're legitimately afraid of this, the China virus. COVID-19. They're afraid of it. At least some people are coming around and realizing children are they can get it, and the odds of them getting like one symptomatic, two dying, it's so astronomically low that the case where it happened, I think there might even only be one case in the U.S. It's still questionable. So there's no risk to the kids going back to school because they could all get it, and basically they're going to be fine. They're More of them are going to die to the flu. More of them are going to die to suicide, hunger, drug overdose from staying home than they are, be catching the coof. It's the teachers who are worried. Teachers don't want to get it. All right, that's fine, but are you an essential worker or not? No? How about prophylactics? We got those. How about you use that? How about you just clean your damn classroom more? I don't know. Figure out something. But you're an essential worker, and you may have had all these people who are just like working class, working at Aldi, working at Walmart, do all your bidding for you so that you can get your Whole Foods crap. They'll do that for you. The delivery guy from Amazon, he's got to go out and work because he's essential, right? And then when you got to educate the kids who are not at risk. Suddenly, you're too special to go back and do your job while other people are like trying to get back to work. All right, maybe you're not essential then. Maybe schools are not something the government should be doing because it's. I mean, you're basically admitting that your job's not that important. I know that's not a nice thing to say, but it's like you got to figure something out. If you want to do some remote stuff, if you want to split the campuses, mix the days, I don't know. You guys have to figure something out, but you have to go back to work. You have to go back to school because the workforce needs to go back to work, and people with kids need to go back to work. And just because teachers are uniquely afraid, kids aren't at risk. I hate seeing the people complain, saying, "Oh, Trump's okay with your kids dying." Nobody's okay with kids dying. If this were something that hit kids and hit kids specifically hard, we wouldn't even be considering this. We'd be saying, "All right, well, gotta do digital." But in this case, it's the complete opposite, where basically the kids are fine, and the most at risk are basically the elderly and the people with pre-existing conditions. All right, we know the group we got to look out for. Maybe we got to extend unemployment to people who have health issues. That's fine. That's costly, but that's fine. Maybe got to get some protection laws in there so they can't get fired because they got to stay home because like they're like a heavy at-risk diabetic, and all right, maybe them being overweight is their fault, but still, like, they're at risk. Maybe they got a heart issue. They're coming off a cancer thing, and they're basically cancer's in remission. So maybe they're out there working, and then now they're like, well, I'm just coming off of chemo. My immune system isn't exactly great. I really don't want to catch this, right? Okay, we can throw them a bone. I'm fine with that. That makes perfect sense, and people are reasonable. But you can't just blanket to everybody. You can't say, all right, I'm a teacher and I'm afraid. Nope. If you got something that actually puts you at high risk, maybe you do have to take the first semester off, and we'll have to accommodate. And maybe there should be some financial help for that. I'm fine with that, but let's have that conversation. Let's not just have the all or nothing conversation. You want to kill the kids if you want the schools to open. Friggin' hate it. It's annoying. Workforce needs to get back to work. People need to have the dignity of working to put food on the table for their families. And was it 2/3 of the small businesses that are being forced to close are not opening their doors again? I mean, this looks like basically 2009 during the crash, and then really 2014 kind of when it sort of came back, where you just see random stores and everything's vacant, everything's for sale. It looks like we're in a basically stagnant economic recession, and it's because we're in a free fall right now. 10% GDP drop. That's not good. That hasn't happened before, and it's literally just because the government came in and said we're going to run things like the Soviet Union now, where you only work if we say you work. Ridiculous. Helps big business, hurts the little guy. I don't understand. Particularly the Democrats who are all about the working class and this is doing so much damage to them. They basically just have to hope that you're more afraid of this virus than you need to be, so that you don't actually start thinking and realize, hey, wait a minute, these policies are actually really hurting me. Two more reasons. One, I think people are turning into assholes because of this lockdown bullshit. I think the constant cycle of fear, the constant arguments, I went to a hoagie store. It was a chain store the other day. I won't call them out. Got my mask on. It's one of those ones where it's like there's no chairs, so it's a little stuffy, and just want to get my food and get out, right? Girl behind the counter with the dyed hair, whatever, she comes over. Dudes in the back, who are the guys, like making the food, they don't have their masks on. So I'm trying to talk. She can't understand me. I take the mask off. And then she won't take my order until I put the mask on. She says, you have to have the mask on. And I go, well, the guys in the back don't have their mask on. Well, he's on the phone. Let's see. Maybe because he's talking and he can't understand a word says. So, of course, I put the mask on and I got to repeat my order 4 times. Granted, they did get it right, thank God. But it was stupid. Like, why are you giving a customer a hard time over that? Just, it doesn't matter. I'm standing 8 feet away from her and she's got a big plexi screen in front of her. And she's going to say, like, oh, not taking your order if you don't have a mask on. It's like, stop. People are being assholes. People drive like assholes. Did you notice that? That like drivers have been, I mean, it's not just the smartphone shit, because like people like looking at the phone while they're driving. I see a lot of that, especially when they're in front of people, and then you see somebody kind of drifting around because they don't have anything in front of them, so they think it's okay to look down at their phone, and then they're not signaling, and they're like doing weird stuff like on the turnpike when you're about to enter like a toll zone or something, and you're like, I got to get past this guy. We're moving at 60 miles an hour. What is this? Where is he going? And then you finally get past them, and you're still afraid they're going to come into you, and you look, and the person's like looking at the phone as they drive. It's like, ugh. So there's that going on, which is kind of, I think that problem was inevitable. But I think just in general, people are, because of the intensity, particularly the rhetoric, you've got fear plus essentially the government and people in favor of things like the mask stuff actively like saying, oh, you got to shame people, you got to be rude to people because it's so important that they do this. It's making things very unpleasant, and I don't want to live in that society. I don't want to live where everybody's assholes to each other, and depending on what your political analysis of the situation is, whether they treat you with respect or not. Dumb. Someone doesn't have a mask on, I'm not going to ask them why they don't have a mask on. Some people can't. Some people have, sometimes it's an anxiety issue. They had some sort of trauma. They've got PTSD. Someone was holding a thing over their mouth. And then the mask, and they start having a panic attack. And they don't know what it is until they go to, the doctor. And the doctor's like, okay, well, what's the issue? And then you're like, well, I start having, like, an anxiety attack. And then they got to dig back and find out, oh, yeah, you had something bad happen to you. And your body's still not recovered from that. Somebody like me, I might have a day where my asthma is really bad. I can't really wear a mask. I mean, there's times when, like, I went into the Home Depot. I have the mask on most of the time when I'm in there. But I got to take it down a lot because it's really, like, it's not really dusty, but there's that, like, smell in the Home Depot. It makes it really hard. And the last thing I want to do is have the mask on and start hyperventilating. That's worse for everybody. So I pull the mask down for a while, keep my distance from people, and I breathe. But, people give you the stink eye. And I don't like that. I don't like that. Don't judge people. Leave people the fuck alone. It's dumb. It's dumb. So you got all that, and then on top of that, you got a really contentious election where you've got basically one side trying to, delegitimize it immediately. Trump's going to steal it. It's just an excuse for when they lose that they can. Basically, unless it's a landslide, we are never going to hear the end of it. It's going to be just like 2016, He wins the electoral college, which is how you win the presidency, and there's still people who just pretend he's not the president. It's an affront to democracy that he's there. I don't know what to say. Did they not play, read the rules? Like that, I've heard the analogy, it's like, a team losing a baseball game and then saying, but I got the most amount of first downs and hits. Maybe you did, but you didn't score enough. Electoral college. I mean, there's a lot of good videos out there about that. Razor Fists is one of the best in terms of just rhetorical arguments, and as for how it functions, PragerU actually did a pretty good job. I know PragerU. Watch the video; it's informative, and it just basically tells you the why the process exists and how it exists. And I mean, we're a republic. Like, what is the incentive of a small state joining a union with a larger state that could just outvote them all the time? You know, like what's was it what's a tiny not Oregon oh my god, a state like Montana. You know, what is their incentive of being part of the United States if California is going to get to and New York City is going to get to decide basically how much power the federal government has over them all the time? There's no incentive to join the union. So, you know, people want to get rid of electoral college. They want to break the union. They want us to be a direct democracy, which will inevitably, mouth is dry. I have trouble pronouncing, but that will lead to civil conflict. That will lead to states packing up. That'll lead to basically independence movements. That'll lead to I mean, you think that basically the governors and the city people who are not playing ball with the feds right now are troublesome. You wait until basically it's a mob rule and some California, New York, you know, what they call them, left coast, you know, fascist is basically in charge and trying to dictate to all the little states exactly how they're going to run things, particularly deep red areas. They're not going to take so kindly to that. And you can guarantee you there'll be a conflict. So, whatever. End the lockdowns. We need to end the lockdowns. This is bullcrap. We're done. America's bored with it. Actually, it's just doing more damage than it's helping. Period. So, you might not like that. You might still be afraid. But there ain't no reason you can't shelter in place. But the rest of us, we got stuff to do. So, let us get back out there.